Hey everyone, Dr. Lara Hill here. Earlier, I made a post on Facebook mentioning something about a sort of an important health related concern that I was having based on what I was seeing, a trend I was seeing on Facebook. And I want to talk a little bit more about that and go into details about why I was concerned about that. Before I go into that, I just want to point everyone in the direction of the Optimizing Wellness Duluth Facebook page. So if you are looking for a community to continue to support you in optimizing health during this time, I encourage you to go over there and check that out to that page. Okay, so that's the Optimizing Duluth. You can search Facebook to go there, or go to the Dr. Lara Hill DC Facebook page and click on groups and you'll find it right there. Okay, so here's the thing that I've been seeing on Facebook, and I'm going to tell you why I'm concerned about it. So a lot of people, and it's probably not the reason that you think I'm concerned about it. So a lot of people I'm seeing are saying to posting that they are baking baked goods and cookies to keep themselves busy. Now, I love this idea. I absolutely adore this idea of, creating fun ways of spending your time while you're staying at home, about, using some of your raw ingredients and baked goods to keep yourself entertained and busy and pass the time while you're at home. I would much prefer that over, spending time just watching television all day long or being on your devices. Here's the reason why I think that is problematic, why that is problematic. Sugar right now is absolutely the worst time to have sugar. So first of all, sugar in general is really, really not great for your immune system and your immune health, and especially right now in the spring. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and about why. So I would give this same advice any spring, no matter what spring it was. In fact, I already months ago had planned on doing this as a Facebook Live. And that was before any of this coronavirus stuff started happening. So now, just realizing now that it's springtime and we have already something that we really want to be paying attention to, our immune health and our respiratory health, this is something that we absolutely must be watching. Okay, so sugar of any kind, really anything sweet. So even super sweet foods like bananas, but especially sugary foods like cookies or sweets. Also anything heavy and anything cold. So really about the worst thing that you can eat right now, even though it's a little bit exciting because it's starting to warm up, ice cream is about the worst thing that you can do right now. So really avoiding the ice cream because it's cold and it's sweet. And I'm going to explain why that's a problem. And I'm going to give just a little bit of a nod to Ayurveda, which is where this information is coming from. Ayurveda is sort of like the traditional Chinese medicine of India. So it's the ancient wisdom of India, which is amazing, is at kind of looking at all of your health and lifestyle habits as a way of balancing and maintaining optimum health and vitality, as opposed to just reacting to problems that are happening in our health. It's actually a way of maintaining balance overall. So balance of body, mind, and spirit. So what Ayurveda is saying right now is that all of the coldness and heaviness of the winter has sort of built up in the environment, in our systems, in our bodies. And as a result of that, it is a time that when we add more cold or heaviness onto that, that's going to just sort of amplify. So this would be a time of year you don't want to be drinking cold things. You're going to notice if you do things like eat sweets or ice cream, you'll notice. Just try it. If you don't believe me, just try eating something super sweet and see if you don't wake up the next day sort of stuffy and congested. I double dog dare you. You don't have to do it. You can just take my word for it. But if you don't believe me, just check it out. See what happens. So a couple of things about that. So the main things to be avoiding are sweet, sour as well, really sour foods, and also rich foods are all things that you want to be avoiding. So what you do want to do is keep it warm. So I actually recommend this time of year. This is a little bit weird. A lot of people don't do this, but actually you can drink, if you, rather than just drinking cold water, you can actually drink warm water. It's going to help with digestion. It's going to make your skin look amazing. Again, try it out, check it out. If you don't believe me, drink some hot water for a few days and see what happens. So keep it warm, and just try to include some bitter things in your meals and in your food. So in addition to that, and thank you for everyone who's joining. I'm super excited that you're on the video watching. So one other thing, just a little bit of tips about that. Oh, and one other thing to avoid is, so I said rich, but also really heavy. So avoid having tons of fat. And again, this may seem like, yes, this is the general advice that we have all the time. Avoid too much fat, avoid sweets. But really this time of year, in spring in particular, is the time that you really want to do that. Sometimes a year are better, times of the year are better than others. Okay, so if you are, for example, going to have something, you could have very dark chocolate. That dark chocolate has that bitterness that's going to be better than having, say, milk chocolate that has that heaviness and richness and sweetness to it. Okay, so I'm always a fan of, like 85% dark chocolate, just because I tend to try to avoid sugar all of the time. But now would be a better time of year because it does have that bitterness to it. This is also, by the way, the best time of year for more vigorous exercise. So lifting heavy weights, doing things like actually running or a little bit more cardiovascular activity is actually really going to be good this time of year, because there's, again, sort of that heaviness in our body and in our systems and in the environment that we want to sort of counteract. One other thing, and I'm going to give some sort of just tips for especially during this stay at home time and mode that a lot of us are in. I'm going to give just some good dietary tips to help, because I'm hearing a lot of people saying that that's an area that's sort of challenging for them. So I'm going to give some, hi Kathy, I'm going to give some just tips and ideas for people who are having challenges with the dietary piece of ideas for that. So the exercise, drinking hot water, avoid the ice cream, and I forget what the other thing I was just going to say is, but I'll come back around to it if I think of it. So for those dietary tips, that was the other thing, is I definitely, so I want, honestly, please sleep in. If it's something that you don't usually get to do, it's a great time to, if you are able to, because you're staying home or because you're not working, it's a great time to catch up on sleep. But again, this time of year is also a really good time to not sleep in too much. So if you can either go to bed earlier and still wake up early, or just don't sleep in too much. Don't let yourself sleep in too much. This is a really good time of year to be waking up a little bit earlier, kind of for the same reason that doing the vigorous exercise and not having, the heavy diet is just to kind of keep it lighter overall. Also just, generally not overeating too much at the same time. So more about that. So just a couple of ideas about diet as you're at home, as you're getting snacky. Obviously, number one is make sure that you're drinking enough water. Try that hot water thing. Of course, tea as well, or add a little bit of lemon in it can make it more palatable. But really trying that hot water thing, drinking more water is going to have you feel less hungry, less snacky. You might find that it's satisfying. Of course, doing things like finding healthier snacks like fruits and vegetables is a great idea. But as far as your actual food and your eating, I highly recommend, this is what I generally recommend for people overall, but especially right now, is think about adding more vegetables. Something that's always a really good thing to do is just thinking about adding more nutrients and more value into the food that you're eating, more nutritional value into the food you're eating, and especially right now. So salads, really great time sort of a great time to eat salads. Now, I will say that just according to this principle that we're talking about, with it being a lot of cold built up, it's actually not the best time quite yet to jump into salads, just because you don't want the coldness of the salad, but that is still better than obviously eating sweets or other things. So some salads will help fill you up, and you'll be surprised how nourishing and fulfilling that will feel. One of my favorite things to do is stir fries. So chopping up all the different vegetables that you have in the house in the refrigerator, putting it in a stir fry with a small light amount of light oil and lots of spices. This is a really great time of year to have lots of warming spices. So in the same way that we're drinking hot water and having other warming things, this is a great time to have warming spices, especially ones that are helping your digestion, because your digestion is going to tend to be a little bit on the weaker side right about now. So especially things like ginger, cumin. This is a good time to add garlic, black pepper, some of those things that are really heating. I don't necessarily recommend having really hot things like jalapenos or things that are really fiery, because that can actually affect your mood as well and end up affecting your increasing things a little bit more than you want to. Like, for example, Ayurveda would say that too much heat would actually add emotional responses like anger and stuff like that over time. But adding more warming things that are health promoting, like ginger, turmeric, cumin, and black pepper and things like that, or onions, ginger, are going to be really, this is a good time of year to do that. So, and also make your food very delicious. So, like one of my favorite stir fries to have is just chopping up a zucchini, spinach, carrots, maybe sweet potato or potato in small amounts, and just really concentrating on having a lot of nutritional value in those vegetables. Cook it long enough till it gets soft. Chop up some spinach and throw it in there at the end. I even usually will like to throw some vegan cheese or some avocado in small proportions, because again, avocado is a little on the heavy side this time of year. And things like that to make it extra delicious. And then, if you are a meat eater, just add a little bit of meat in with that. And you can have a fairly low calorie and high nutrient, low calorie, low carbohydrate, high nutrient packed, nutrient dense meal that's going to have you feeling really satisfied and really fulfilled, so that you don't feel like you need to be snacking, so you don't feel like you need to keep on going back to the refrigerator. And you can even, just make a ton of it and have it for lunch the next day, or, whatever the case may be, so that you really have that available and accessible for you during this time. And then, of course, like I said, having things to snack on, like one of my personal favorites is celery and almond butter. Again, the more you can have something be warming and nourishing, that's absolutely phenomenal. Be a little bit forgiving with yourself. It's okay if you snack just a little bit more than usual. Don't start to get into the negative talk. That's not going to be conducive to decreasing stress, which is what a lot of us really want to be focusing on, increasing positive energy, positive emotions and feelings, acknowledging what is there, and moving in the direction of what else is available. So just a few tips to help support you and your health and your family's health during this time. If you have any questions, feel free to comment in the questions below. Make sure to head over to the Optimizing Wellness Facebook community. That's a place where everyone can share health tips, ideas, kind of what you're doing to support and optimize your well-being right now. Optimizing Wellness Duluth. You can search for that or find that in the groups page of the Dr. Laura Hill Facebook page. And I look forward to seeing you all in there. Take care.